He called him silently, wiping his tear, but didn't look at him, nor did he turn to him. Both were silent in their places, maybe thinking what should they next do. They bought this true room, take one, and have some rest. His voice was rang against, but he didn't move. Take a rest, Theon. He said once, again, and the time they silently got up and walked to the left side of the room with his bag in his hand, while his hands were on his head. Theon, it's been 3 days. They were shifted, living in the same house, but were still silent like strangers. They was hiding all the day and night in his room. He has arranged all the important things needed for like life. Kitchen were filled with all the necessary things. It was chilly and cold, especially the nights were too cold, and the mornings were cooling with their beautiful sight of mountains region. Clouds came whenever they feel like to, and it started raining. They was still in shock. They was trying to solve the puzzle of being in Jungkook's room when he was sleeping in Insu's room. His mind were pinging. They were getting frustrated thinking about the same night again and again. A knock on the door would pull him out of the thought and turn to see him who entered the room with 2 cups of tea. They stood up. He looked at they who was still at the same dress since 3 days. Can we talk? He asked, and they gave a nod, still looking down. While he took a seat in the bed and placed the cup of tea on the side table. It's been 3 days. Then we came here, and you lock yourself in the room. We can't live like that. We have to move on. You have to move on, Theon. Come here, he said, while they walked to him and sat next to the bed. Why are you crying for those who doesn't exist for us now? He asked, turned to him. A little, while they cried more, while hiding his face in his palm. Theon, this will not correct everything in your life. You have to strong and have to move on, he said, looking at Tae. How I end up in your room when I was sleeping with Insu, and at the next morning we both are in such an inappropriate condition together. I'm not understanding how. Holding his head in his hand, they said crying. It just all done by Insu. How we done? But it was done because he wanted revenge for me. But I didn't know that. He'll used to do this, he said in signing. But I want you to come out of that trauma now. I want you to your study. There are many colleges nearby. I suggest you to come out of this room now, he said while he could not say anything, and he left from there without saying anything. As he left, they fell back to the bed thinking again the night, which else took everything for him. His flashback. Here's your coffee. Insu said, passing the coffee to the Theon and said next to him to the cup of coffee. Thank you. Sipping that, they said and looking down at the books where he was studying. Inwa was looking at him and time to time. In just a few minutes, Theon started to yawn. Nisaw started everything closed down. Placing the books aside, he lay down on the bed, slept, and Insu smiled looking at him. Theon, are you sleepy? He asked. Him who was almost in sleep because of those pills. Insu added in the coffee. He, come to my room. It's very hot there. Pulling down with him, and said Insu. But he didn't let him complete and pulled him with him. Due to heavy eyes and mind full of sleep, he hardly come to see the way, and here Insu took the advantage of this condition and entered the Jungkook's room. Theon was not able to recognize the room, as he was fully under the effect of medicine. They had clubbed down, and Theon saw the bed. He fell on it and second dozed off into a deep, deep slumber. Insu smiled evilly, looking at him. and then put some pills on the jug of water, placing the side table close to the switchboard. He damaged the switches so the light could not turn on. Satisfied on his planning, he left from there and waiting for Jungkook to come now and that he could do what he wanted to. At midnight, he came and went to the room while Insu was waiting for him to doze off into the sleep. After a few minutes, he entered the room, smiling, and closed the door behind him. Turned the torch on, he looked at Jungkook who was lying on the bed, deeply in sleep because of the medicine filled in the water he drank before going to sleep. It's my turn now, mumbling Insu moved ahead and looked at him, who lust in his eyes, but more of it there was felt fire of revenge in his eyes. Going closer to him, he opened the shirt buttons and took off his shirt. His eyes roamed on his lusty foe, whereas the fingers on the bare chest, and leaned on the neck, placing kissing on his neck, and just fully in him. That this is for you insulting me, Inu said. You regret, Jungkook. You both will pay. Look at him evilly. He moved toward him, who was laying there senselessly. I'm sorry for pulling you in it, but I have no choice. I hate you both. Smiled immediately, he said, looking at the sleep figures of Taeyoung and then pulled his clothes away. Putting his hand on the stomach, he placed his head on his neck and stepped back, looking at both of them the last time. He left from there and now waiting for the morning. The next morning, at the sunrise, Indu went crying to the uncle Mr. John, who was Jungkook's father. Jungkook's parents got worried that why he was crying. Uncle, Jungkook and Taeyoung, he stopped and crying again. How could he do this to me? He knew that I love him, but still he did this. Crying, saying Indu. Wow, Jungkook's mother feels something bad going to happen. What happened? Asked Mr. John. He didn't get what he was wanted to say. Insu, come, I'll show you, he said in turn, while Mr. and Mrs. John followed him, while the young mother, who saw them going upstairs, following them as well. As Insu opened the door, every eyes fell on them, who were sleeping together, his face struggling in his neck, and his arm lying on their belly. Everything was exactly like Insu planned. Jungkook, Mr. John roared, as Mr. John left here, while his wife to choose to close it and wake his son up. Jungkook, get up! Crying, she said, and then put a glass of water on his head to wake him up. Mr. John returned again in anger, boiling in his brain, while the young mother was shocked to see that his son in this condition. On that noises, Taeyoung opened his eyes up. As it did, he felt something on his. His eyes found Jungkook so close to him. Pushing him back, he got while his eyes opened too because of that water. And then, push he received. As he looked at Tae and himself, his mind got shocked. What happened? He questioned himself, looking at him and then himself. And then, both of them forced to anger, hated, and disbelief of their families. Both were kicked out and tried together to this sin that they didn't commit. Jungkook. It had been a week since they talked to him. Both were at their places. He got to his work early in the morning and came in the evening fully exhausted. But now he found Taeyoung's office in the dining table with him. That was a relief for him that he was coming back to his life.